Welcome to another The Compass 77 video. Today is February the 6th, 2019, and today is the 61st anniversary of the Munich air disaster. Hence this scarf over here, a reminder of the time, the date, when it happened. A very sad thing to happen to anyone, and at the time Manchester United were a fantastic team on the pitch and off it as well. I mean, today, Manchester United is just a really massive institution. Back then, the football was different. Although they were fantastic, of course, the football wasn't what it is today. This was football. In my opinion. This is when there wasn't as much money, but the players there were unbelievable, fantastic, and it's just such a really sad thing that happened all those years ago. Of course, this has brought a lot of attention over the years, over the decades, tried to show tribute as well and tell the story, different things like this book over here, Day a Team Died, Frank Taylor. That's something that just tells a tale as well of the crash. Got a few years ago, film, DVD United. How accurate this film is, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I found it very interesting to watch, although I think I've heard some slightly negative critics and stuff like that, but I think in general this is a good film, and if you're going to watch a film today, and if you can watch this film, it definitely does, it gives you bit more understanding of what actually happened, especially if you've never heard of the Munich air disaster before. A few years ago I also got this Busby Babes gift set, because the time when Matt Busby was the manager, time of the air crash, the media referred to his team as the Busby Babes, and it's got this gift set has a DVD and a book inside, and I thought I thought I would actually read a foreword here from this book, from this one. It's the Busby Babes Men of Magic. There is a foreword by Sir Alex Ferguson. However, the foreword that I thought I'd read is from the 1983 edition, so that was like 25 years on, and it says, 25 years ago, Manchester United suffered a great tragedy when the Elizabethan airliner on which we were returning from a match against Red Star Belgrade crashed on takeoff from Munich, where the plane had stopped to refuel. Aboard were 17 of the finest players the club has ever known. 8 of them died in the crash, and 2 others, those surviving, were never to play football again. The crash also took from Manchester United 3 of its most loyal servants, Walter Crickmer, Bert Wiley and Tom Curry. Max Arthur has spoken at length to the survivors and to the friends and relatives of those who died, and from these interviews, sometimes serious, sometimes humorous, he has created a portrait of each player. Their character and their skills are recalled by those who played with and against them. The survivors tell their own story. Much has already been written about my own parts in the formation of the Busby Babes. I am therefore delighted that this book also records the magnificent work done by the largely unsung backroom boys, and in particular Jimmy Murphy. This is a unique and fitting tribute to an unforgettable team. Those who never saw them play will, I hope, be made richer by this book. Those of us who remember them so well will not be saddened by it, but will be reminded that they were men of magic. Matt Busby, 1983. This was Matt Busby who wrote this foreword for the 1983 edition of the Manchester United air crash. He was the manager at the time. After the crash, he had spent a few months in hospital in Munich, and he mentioned Jimmy Murphy. Jimmy Murphy was his assistant. and it was a very important time in the club's history. I mean, as I said at the beginning of this video, Manchester United were fantastic at the time. They played football the right way. They were top of the league prior to the air crash. The players, they were so young as well. I think that the average age of that team was 22. I think the oldest, I think, was Roger Byrne, the captain, at 28, if I'm not mistaken. It was such, and it was just so much to look forward to, and then it happened, and it was devastating for everyone, for everyone, and so the rebuilding that started, and after that kind of thing, it's never easy, and somehow Manchester United reached the FA Cup final that year, and I think it was finished in 9th place in the league, but it's as Matt Busby said, Jim Murphy did a fantastic job with his backroom stuff. It definitely wasn't easy. So just got to I think it's good to remember this. It's good to remember this, not just this part of the history of the club, but it's a significant part of the history of this club and for football in general. Because once that happened, it stopped being a football sport issue. It was more human. People lost their lives, and it's devastating. This is just part of the history of the club I support. I'm a Manchester United fan, and but Munich air disaster has always meant a lot to me. I'm happy that I was able to go to Munich 11 years ago for the 50th anniversary and just see the place where it happened and pay my respects as well. But as I said, as we said in the book, it's not to be saddened, but to remember what players they were. That they were fantastic players. So many players. They play football the right way, as I said, and I'd just like to see that in today's world as well, returning to the way they used to play. That it wasn't about money, because the money wasn't the issue then. They had jobs as well, and the players back then they played football, but the main thing was they had a job. They had to look after their families. It was a very, very could say basic, but it was beautiful. And so it's just one of those occasions when you just think back to it, remember them, and hope for really good times ahead now for Manchester United. And recent times have been really good for Manchester United. But Manchester United, February 6, 1958, Munich air disaster. I'm going to remember that.